Okay, call the meeting to order. Welcome to this meeting of the Accessibility Advisory Committee for the City of Quinte West. As our name implies, we are an advisory committee, and our duty is to report and advise on all matters that fall within our mandate, and to recommend such actions to council as may be deemed necessary. We are not able to bind or compel council to any recommendation we may discuss or make. Do we have any disclosures of pecuniary interest to be declared? Seeing none, we will move on to the approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting. Motion?
Yep.
Motion by Committee Member DeLine, seconded by Committee Member Robbins, that the agenda be approved. All those in favor? Carried. The next part is approval of the minutes of the meeting of December 11th, 2023, which I believe everybody has a copy of here. Committee Member Kloss.
I move we accept the minutes.
Moved by Committee Member Kloss, seconded by, I guess I got two committee member, or Councillor Freeman. And all those in favor? Opposed, if any? Motion is carried. So we have, I need to sign that at some point, but
Yep. I'll get you before you leave the meeting.
yeah. Okay. Sorry. That brings us up to delegations and presentations, which we have a delegation, I hope I'm right, Leanna DeMarco will address the committee, and you have 10 minutes.
Well, I won't take that long, but you may. First of all, thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I'll just get right into it. For better or for worse, I am here. I live. Not like I used to, though. The days of hustle and bustle out at the door, with the rest of the world now blocked with barriers. For a while, I was hopeful that things would improve faster so I could walk again like others, fully abled. I've had to settle for limited access to what most folks take for granted. I'd like to get on a plane, a train, a bus, or any transportation without having to worry about the what-ifs. Will my wheels make it through the door of the train? How do I get onto the GO train, bus, and where will they place my assistive device? What if they damage my device? What if the sidewalks are broken and unsafe? What happens if I am injured while I am out and about trying to live my day? It's silly questions, are they though? The AODA has been a growth of progressions of forward and backward. We live in a society where people like me don't matter. Why do we even need why do we need deadlines for compliances for access in buildings when we're building a fully abled world? I was excited when I'd heard that back 2012 was going to be the year of access progress, and then shut down when the powers out there decided to pull it off till 2025. I wasn't physically challenged then, so I didn't worry so much. Last few years, I've acquired a few disabling injuries due to sloppy politics. Not sure if it's general politics or internalized politics within humans. These days, folks blame COVID. It's become an acceptable excuse for lack of funds and poor medical care. Now 2025 is almost here, and still no one is ready to make the world equally accessible for all. They now speak of 2040. I'll be dead before then. I have personally had a few challenges here in Quinte West with mobility access. A few stores who show wheelchair accessible stickers and yet have no working automatic buttons, and in fact confirmed they were told by city staff it was fine as long as they at least displayed the attempt with a sticker. I've reported bad roads that block me from getting around. Answers I've received, there's no funding. I had a very debilitating injury in September 2023 on one such bad road, and now even more mobility limited and extreme pain as I wait for a surgeon to repair the damage. For that, I have to wait for the surgeons to get paid and hospital beds to open. Another challenge and no funds. Funds should never be a barrier nor excuse. Barriers leave too many doors open to abuse. Why should I, or anyone in this room and in society, continually be put on hold? Perhaps pushing it to 2040 is a great idea to save money while folks like me die waiting to live freely. I call this a form of genocide and a crime against humanity. It's a different type of war that exposes silence and imposes silence. Someone must care. The next generation is watching us. In my humbleness, I ask everyone to speak up and take action from a small scale and upward. I need much improved access and request your support in asking and taking action on my behalf and also on other citizens in this community that require assistance. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. I know I have a couple of questions. I will wait till later. I'll let other committee members, if they have any questions of you first. Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Ms. DeMarco, for coming and expressing your thoughts and concerns and sharing some background with us. Appreciate it. My question is, are you looking for us to help advocate with the government to advance some of the, I guess, ODA requirements with private sector? I'm just trying to better understand. Is this the kind of assistance, as well as us working on many of the daily activities and things that come before this committee? But is that what you're looking for? That is part? Okay. Well, certainly.
Thank you. There are many parts, and I know
Okay.
it's a big, huge world, and I'm a believer each one of us can make that difference. The type of issues I've run across is physically around the town. When I first moved here, I was actually impressed with access and all that until the doors open to other places that I have to go to that are not accessible. So one of the things I'd like to see happen is that the staff here that are going out there telling companies that it's okay to not be actually accessible is not okay. So I would like to see that, I don't know, investigated, brought up at council, because it defeats the purpose of having the AODA. If you're going out there and telling them a sticker is good enough, I'm thinking that sticker doesn't open the door for me. The other parts are services that are offered. The rules are different for people on disability of any kind. You know, what you have access to here in Toronto, they don't line up, but it's supposed to be a provincial program. So I'm not sure if that's something that you can all touch, but on the physical stuff, I see it as, I guess, a lot simpler. If the door is broken, fix the door.
Right.
You know, if the sidewalk, you know, the concerns over there's no funds. I'm guessing it's a lot cheaper to fix the road than it is to file a lawsuit for damages caused. But it's left me more crippled. I mean, I'd had surgery a year ago and I was finally starting to walk, and got with my scooter, I went over a bump that pulled my back, and now I can't walk more than 2 feet. And I have to wait for a surgeon who has not been paid which is why he put all his surgeries on hold for God knows long. And by the time I get through, I'll be paralyzed. And I'm not sure if that's something that, has going to get fixed right here. But I am asking for stuff that is fixable here and now. It's not okay for having to rearrange things for 2040. I don't really care about 2040 right now because I'm trying to live now. This ongoing putting off of things that I consider basic human rights, to be able to open the door and go out and not have to worry about falling over a bump on the road, or being able to get into a store to buy groceries or food for my dog and what have you. I don't know. Just a general question. Does anybody else here have to think about stuff like that all the time? I didn't used to have to. Just get up, bounce out of bed, and out you go, and go to work and whatever. And I've had to make a lot of modifications, and that's fine because I'm not a quitter.
Right.
Technically, I was left to die 6 years ago, and I said, I don't think so. And I'm still here, and I'm still fighting, and I accept that maybe this is my role to do my bit to make this world a better place. And maybe that's why things happen to me, because you have to experience it to understand it, maybe. But I don't want people to experience not even half of what I've gone through in the last 5 years.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other committee members with questions?
Mr. Chair,
Councillor Freeman.
thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And yes, thank you so much for coming forward. I recently have joined the ranks of someone with a disability. And with me, it's my arms, unfortunately, that and I don't want to trade places with you by any stretch, but neither one of them are great. And I mentioned, I guess at council one day, that I was at Kingston General Hospital and also Hotel Dieu. And in both of those places, one of them, I stepped onto an elevator and I could not reach anything. I could not do anything. I had to step back out again. I could not push a button. And I thought, well, there you go. I'm at a hospital where everything should be accessible, and it's not. And then somebody stepped on and got me to my floor. I couldn't use the bathroom. And when somebody did open the door for me, I couldn't wash my hands. I couldn't use the paper towels. I couldn't use the sanitizer because you need 2 hands to squirt it. I mean, it was just such an eye-opener. So I get where you're coming from. It's startling, the things that don't work. And I do have one question. I know there's lots of stores downtown that were never thought about accessibility when they were built. And when you say there's a sticker on the door, does that particular place do anything about it? No, because it's going to say, you just said 2040 before they have to do it. So it's the province or the feds or everybody that's involved with this that need to not only make the date sooner, but provide money so that these people can do that to the doors, to make it so it's accessible to both of us, because I could not open that door unless somebody opens it for me. So it's everywhere. And I really appreciate you reminding us all that there are a million different kinds of disabilities and they all have to be considered, but somebody other than the municipality has to step up and help with the cost of that. And store owners are struggling these days anyway. So for them to put thousands of dollars into it is very difficult. But thank you very much for coming forward and discussing it.
May I add to that? I'm actually not even targeting the small stores. I'm talking about the big ones. Global Pets is not a small store. It's a franchise. The big ones. The little ones, they were built 1,000 years ago. It's fine. But at the end of the day, I think the way I look at it and what I'm looking for is for everybody, as many of people get together, because me by myself, I know I can make a difference, but it'll take forever. But if we've got a bunch of us that are saying this has to happen today, should have happened yesterday, never mind tomorrow, I think that's more effective. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the committee? Committee Member Klost.
Thank you, Leanna, for coming forward. With your presentation and with Sally's accounting of her visit to the hospital, I know there are many, many stories out there most of us don't understand. We don't understand the challenges in daily living. It would never have crossed my mind that an elevator wouldn't be accessible, but now we know that. Now we've heard Sally's side of things. The awareness is something that this committee has worked on in the past, and I think we're planning this year to do something more. So hopefully we can include you in some of our plans when we start to formulate something with a date and a time. But we have in the past done events throughout the city that highlighted the lack of accessibility and the good intentions of people who mean well but aren't quite understanding the challenges that maybe they have created rather than solving. So this is good that you're here, and it's good that we've heard from you. And I think we can, as we go through the different things this committee is responsible for, I think we will be diligent in trying to make changes where we can.
I think I can answer in that it'd be the city, the province, and the federal government, all three of them. We, as stated, we are an advisory committee, and I will get into my part, well, maybe now. This is one of the reasons I joined this committee or volunteered for it, is I can empathize maybe just a little bit myself, but I know my counselors in my area know me, and I had an access problem, which I still have, as far as I'm concerned, and I joined this committee thinking, oh yeah, we're going to get a lot done. I found out we are an advisory committee. I do a lot of reading. I am going to ask, if possible, if I can get a copy somehow of your presentation at some time. I do better when I have something
If
in
you
front of
email
me.
me, I'll send it to you.
What's that?
Email me and I'll send it to you.
I have to read.
You have? Okay. Because I do better this way, as Louise knows. I come in and get copies. I have 48-page one here. I enjoyed reading over the Christmas holidays and found out how they're making recommendations that the feds take over more of the disability coverage because they seem to be making more progress for some reason. I see some changes coming. They're very slow. I have mentioned to people on the committee before, I am one, and I seem to catch it in your thing, is enforcement. I thought we had enforcement. We really don't unless we get the province or the feds on board with it. If I pull in and somebody's in a spot, whether it be disability or just a spot that you're not supposed to park, we have nothing we can do about it. I think we should, and that may be a provincial thing. But this is one of the reasons I got on the committee, is to hope to advocate for things like this. It's unfortunate in one sense, although I wouldn't want the power, because with the power comes the blame as well. But I think that some of this needs to be presented to council, most likely, and you should contact both your provincial and federal representatives. And my experience is a lot of times people don't know who these people are, but you should become aware of who your feds and provincial reps are to get in touch with. That's my input for now. And like I say, I would like to read at a future time so I can understand even more of what you presented. Is there anybody else? Not, we don't need a motion, do we?
No,
Mr. Chair, could I say one more thing before we let this kind lady leave?
Oh, yes,
This,
go ahead,
thank-
Counselor Freeman.
if, your presentation was quite short, for which I'm very grateful, because you could have gone on for hours, I'm sure. But if you can keep it around 3 minutes, you're welcome to make a presentation, not a presentation, but come to, public input at council and point some of these things out to our councilors. And another thing you might mention to them is when it comes to housing, don't forget people like you that need a handicapped apartment. So when we're building apartments, make sure we put the maximum in that we can, especially in the mixed housing where it's all costs, not just low income or high income, but everything, and make sure that people are always represented in the area that you are interested in, having a fully handicapped apartment or home or whatever. Okay, so yeah, if you can make it to public input at council, Councillor Sharp, I don't think that would be a problem if she kept it to under 3 minutes, correct?
Absolutely, Councillor Freeman. You would be very welcome to come. It is 3 minutes, and we'd love to see you there. And you can come to any council meeting. They're always open to the public, and public input is at the beginning of the meeting. And I'm sure council would enjoy hearing what you have to say. Thank you.
And if I can just quickly address your comment about housing. Is this on? You can all hear me? I actually did that with John Tory when he was in office. The area I was in Toronto, we're building all kinds of condos, which is why I escaped and came here. And I was able to persuade them to make sure that the builders put 2% accessible suites in every single condo building that was being built. Fortunately, he was amicable to it. What ended up happening, which is the negative side when he stepped down, was that the builders decided to not actually make those suites available to the point of beyond affordability. It wasn't even just money, but anybody who wanted the accessible suites had to have an annual income of $90,000 minimum, and before they would open the doors. So they did it physically, but not practical. And so when I'm doing my speech, I'm not just asking for physical access. I'd like to pull a few heartstrings, brain access. Attitude is the most challenging one. But I'm glad you all are open to it, and you're welcome to contact me anytime. If I can give an input, I'd be happy to. I appreciate your time.
Okay, I want to thank you for attending tonight and making your presentation, and I'm sure, if nothing else, there will be talk between some of us after the meeting even, so that we know where we're going. So thank you once again on behalf of the committee. If you want, you don't like our smiling faces.
I do, but I smell a cup.
Ah. Apologize. I was doing so good. Items for committee's consideration. Site plan application, first submission, 654 County Road 40 from the Kawartha Pine Ridge District School Board. And I am to ask Louise to present.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So the Planning and Development Services Department have circulated this first site plan control submission for review and comment. I would note that the application is for a four classroom addition to the existing Murray Centennial Public School located at 654 County Road 40. During the pre-consultation process with Planning and Development Services, the department identified to the consultants that they needed to ensure that accessible parking was addressed. So the consultants have identified there are 5 new accessible parking spaces comprised of 2 Type A and 3 Type B. It's noted too that there are 2 existing accessible spaces that were in the existing parking lot that don't currently meet our zoning bylaw regulations, but they do meet the standards for a handicap spot or for an accessible spot. They are not included in the count of 5, which is what they have to have. So the school will actually have 7 accessible parking spots. I would note that the detailed drawing A2-.1 identifies what the plan layout is for the 4 new classrooms, including washrooms and storage areas. The planner or Planning and Development Department, once they actually receive a full site plan application, will be happy to come address the committee once they have the full details on it. But this is for our preview and comment if there's anything that you wish to have me take back to the Planning Department.
That would mean we are open for discussion on the committee, and is there anybody with any input at this time? Seeing none, we will need a motion to accept the report given by Louise. Moved by Committee Member DeLine, seconded by Councillor Sharp. All those in favor, motion is carried. Okay. New, other business. Once again, an information report, and we go to Louise.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you, Mr. Chair, to the committee, I've received a number of queries surrounding service animals versus support animals. And it is an issue that came up at the latest Ontario Network of Accessibility Professionals conference, as well as a lot of municipalities are struggling with how to handle the service animal versus support animal issue. We had a gentleman from Ontario Human Rights address the committee or address the conference, and he advised us that in order to be considered a service animal per the AODA customer service standard, the animal has to meet 2 conditions. Either the animal is an animal to be, is easily identified as relating to a disability, so it's wearing a harness or flag of some sort to identify what its service function is, or the person can provide documentation from a regulated health professional confirming that the animal is required due to a disability. Under the Ontario Human Rights Code, it was noted, though, that service animals do not need to have certificates or identity cards with them. Persons with a service animal may be asked to provide the documentation, but they can't be denied a service at that if they are not able to provide it right at that time. Emotional support animals are there to provide comfort and security to the person. However, they have no specific training. So therefore, emotional support animals do not qualify as service animals under the AODA. So that means service providers are not required to allow emotional support animals in premises if they don't wish to. So if they've got an issue with an emotional support animal that is in and maybe not quite that well trained and making messes and that, the service provider does have the right to ask that person to not only clean up the mess, but to leave the animal at home if they're wishing to utilize the service. Wanted to bring up that the AODA customer service standard development committee had a discussion with the ministry and asked for their input on what sort of bylaws would be effective in assisting with this. And the response from the ministry was that basically any bylaw can exclude an animal from meeting the definition of a service animal. So if a municipality has bylaws around possession of animals, any animal that is limited in that municipality cannot be used as a service animal or a support animal. So I provided you with a copy of our animal regulation bylaw. It does have a listing of prohibited animals. Dogs, in general, are permitted animals in the city because we do license them. There is a matter of hybrid dogs, though, that are not. So if a hybrid dog is being used as a support animal, technically in the city of Quinte West, it's not permitted by the bylaw. So that would allow us to go forth with some sort of enforcement action. Okay. That's all my all my comments today.
When we talk about emotional support animals, do we mean therapy dogs and PTSD related dogs? I mean, they have vests, they have labels on their vests. Where do they fit?
In the case of dogs that have vests and have labels, generally they've had training. So for things like PTSD, it is a complex training course that the animal goes through to be able to pick up on what its duties are. So those sort of animals, I believe the Ontario Human Rights Code would look at that and say, yes, that is a legitimate service animal.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. And this is a very sensitive report, and I was trying to grasp the differences, and it is clear in terms of you have the paperwork or you don't, or you have the help support and the identification or you don't. But just for our operations, say at City Hall, Louise, if I could, if someone came with a dog that they wanted to bring just as emotional support, it doesn't have this paperwork, do we generally allow that unless the dog is misbehaving? You know, this is more operational. I just want to know how it works inside City Hall.
Yeah, generally in City Hall, people can bring their dogs.
Okay.
Cats if they have them leashed.
Right.
We require them to be under the care and control of the person, so they have to be leashed
Very good.
to be with them. And as long as the animal is
Yeah, not
not
barking crazy and
barking
biting
crazily, not acting up, as long as we don't have somebody who is saying, I'm
and
allergic,
Right.
then generally we allow the animal and the person to come and go as they like.
Thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, we need a motion to accept the report. Moved by Committee Member Robbins. I knew I'd mess up. And seconded by Committee Member Klost. All those in favor? Opposed, if any. Motion is carried. And do we have any new or other business, which I'm sure we do? Councillor Sharp.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to the committee members, and I think I've spoken to everyone except Councillor Freeman, looking to see if we could start the meetings, regular meetings at 4 p.m. instead of 5. So I would ask the committee to consider that option if it works for everyone. I'll make that motion. Okay, I was pretty sure.
Moved
can
by
make that
Councillor.
motion.
Moved by Councillor Sharp, seconded by Councillor Freeman, I believe. And I guess it's as long as the technical support is available. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. That means we will be starting our meetings at 4. I take it with the next regular meeting. And I think there is one change later in the year, but we'll deal with it then.
Yes.
Any other new business? Hearing none, we need a motion for adjournment. Moved by committee member Robbins, second by committee member Devine. All those in favor? Motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned.